Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach with another actionable tip so you can sound like a pro and gain more podcast fans. Today's tip stems back to what my former extremely talented, hippie-loving, Jesus-smoking, beach-eating, flip-flop-flapping radio production boss I had in Vancouver said to me once, which was, shit in is shit out. I'm talking about overmodulation or distortion. It's annoying, distracting, and it keeps you from sounding like a pro. What is it? This is distortion. This is without distortion. This is overmodulation. This is not overmodulating. Why does it happen? Well, simply put, your levels are too high. Your settings are wrong. And it's tricky because sometimes you record through Skype or Google Hangouts and there are other settings to contend with. Know where these settings are and know what they do. Sometimes it's as simple as taking it off auto and setting the levels manually. And do you ever find that your audio levels are different depending on who you talk to and their setup? You've got to look at your settings every time you record. I always recommend pressing record as soon as you connect with your guest. Use your ears and your eyes to set your levels when you're saying your pleasantries. And if you see red on any level meter, turn it down. If after adjusting your levels, they still sound distorted, it might be on their end. So help them out. You now know how to adjust your settings on Skype or Google, so walk them through it. It may feel a little awkward, but explain to your guest that you want to address this issue because you want your listener to hear every word that they're about to say. There is no fix for overmodulation. I'll say it in a different way. You cannot repair distorted audio. You can try, and you can spend hours on it. And now, some programs can clean it up a little bit, but it'll never be the way it's supposed to sound. You can always boost the low levels afterwards. It's not the same when you try to lower bad sound. It's still bad sound. You only have a few options after you discover a distorted track, and they're not good options. You can throw it in the garbage and do it all again, revoice just your track if you can pull it off, or you can use it. Use the crappy audio and send a clear message to the world that you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're too bush to care, and that amateur hour just started in their earballs. Is that the message you want to send? No. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this podcast, because I know that you care and you want to sound more like a pro. So the only fix is don't record crappy audio in. Didn't you notice the bad audio as soon as it happened off the top of this episode? Of course you did. Wasn't it distracting? This is what happens when bad audio gets in the way of great content. Your listener stops listening and starts noticing. Overmodulation is completely avoidable for you, your co-hosts, and your guests. Check your settings when you hit record. Remember this, and it goes for all of your audio that you're injecting into your show. Shit in is shit out, and nobody wants to listen to shit. And I hope that's just the tip you need. This is part of the show where I usually plug my website or my coaching, but I want to say thanks. I just want to say thanks for listening to this 5-minute podcast that I've been putting together now for quite some time, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you, as well as hearing the comments from listeners who tell me that they binge listen to the show one after another, all at once, these 5-minute episodes and all these tips that I'm giving you. So that really means a lot. I really love that feedback. I've also done a number of coaching critiques recently, and the response that I hear from you guys has been great too. Even our 15-minute chats have really injected you with some positive feedback and new energy and new life to your show. And it's been great connecting with you and listening to your shows and helping you take your shows to the next level. So thanks for subscribing. Thanks for listening, and make sure to connect with me on Facebook or through my website at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya!